Y'all, the holidays are coming up, and this is the perfect time to be able to get your family, your loved ones, your friends, your rugby stuff. Not just another rugby team, because they might not even care about that team. Maybe not everybody's here rocking for the All Blacks or rocking for Ireland or just has a USA rugby jersey that they want to drop on. But you definitely can never go wrong with a casual rugby wear. Check it out at rugbyoutletmall.com. Get the stuff that represents to the things that they already know, like our Rugby Life shirt representing the YouTube culture. Of course, get our Rugby PayPal shirt that is just a beautiful blue that goes along with it. You guys can get our HBCU Rugby Classic shirts if you want to represent for new and upcoming culture. But more importantly, guys, because you're listening to this podcast right here, definitely want to make sure that you have something to go along with it to provide. So for any first-time users, definitely use the code GROWRUGBY for 20% off. That is GROWRUGBY, GREAUX Rugby. That's two words, GREAUX Rugby, and you guys will get 20% off of any Icano Rugby shirts, any HBCU Rugby shirts, and just be able to fully embrace the merch. It's wintertime. Suit up. Get representing for your rugby anytime, anywhere, any place. It's going to be worth it, man. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Rugby Swag. My name is GiftTime Belu. And Merry Christmas, everybody, or happy holidays to you, because we're just around the corner. I'm hyped. You're hyped. Let's get it started. Intro.
I think the minute I stepped on a practice field for rugby, the calling happened.
An 8-year plan to be on the team. And I was in it within 2 years.
Don't wait until you are a pro to be a pro, right?
And I walk around with a rugby ball sometimes and they're like, what is this child on?
It just looks like it was a heavy hit.
It's up, it's not up.
You know, that's the first time I played like professional.
I'm making rugby money. How can I make money outside of it?
And there was two Scottish guys, and they said, "Oh, you're here for the movie."
That rugby is a game for all shapes and sizes, all cultural aspects.
He looked at me and he says, "You guys are awesome."
Yo, I'm so glad to have you guys here today. I want you first and foremost, please do not forget, if you guys enjoy the content, absolutely subscribe. Please follow. And I'm talking to you. I need you guys to share this as well, too. Share it with your friends. I will try and clip some of these down so it's a little bit shorter so we can, give a little bit tighter elements to this. But I need you guys to share this so that we can really, really grow and make an impact and really change the ecosystem of rugby in this USA as well as internationally. And of course, this is why we do this, so that we can be able to find these opportunities, talk to the people who've taken advantage of them, grown them, developed, and now subsequently provide the opportunities via rugby. We have a great guest for y'all today. My friend and founder and head coach for the Southern University Rugby squad based out of Baton Rouge, kicking in 2023, 2024. Isaiah Washington's going to be on the show today. It's going to be great conversation that we had with him, discussing where he started from and what he wants to do with Southern University and HBCU. So, I'm trying to get him ready for the HBCU Rugby Classic. So, I have a legitimate, genuine interest in what is about to happen with that. But before we get started, I wanted to just kind of talk about some of the things that have been happening. All right, we got a lot, a few things that happened. There's not a whole lot that's happened. First and foremost, I want to talk about some MLR stuff. And this past week, at least since the last time that we talked, New York Rugby New York has made a bit of an addition to their name. They became the New York Rugby Iron Workers. The Iron Workers. Needless to say, look, I appreciate good creativity like anybody else. But we got to talk about these MLR names. Look, the sentiment I get, you want to get the heart of the city. It's the working man's team. And also, big congratulations. Also, they got an actual field just in upstate New York, just north of New York City, so near Westchester. So big congratulations getting the stadium. I know that will be significant for a lot of teams in the New York area, especially for championships, club teams, and definitely youth play. But again, this name, you know, we just got off of the whole, deal with the Giltinis, the Gilly, I forgot his name, the Australian fraudster. And you know, I appreciate marking your territory with things that have direct significance to you. But when you're putting these names together, like, why go too far? Example, New York Rugby Iron. Excellent. Heart of the city, makes sense, all very, very significant. And it sounds phonetically great. Like, it sounds good. The New York Rugby Iron. Now, I don't know if there's somebody who had that name copywritten or something like that, but I don't know where you stop. Because when you go to Iron Workers, like, this now takes away from the oomph. Like, there's the single syllable or two syllable with a lighter end syllable mascot names. And I'm pretty sure they're going to have a guy probably with a helmet and a hammer, and it's going to look like so many other mascots. I feel like Purdue, like the Boilermakers, is something like similar to that. But it's just like, I don't get why the MLR, and this is, you know what, and this might be fan voted, which means I kind of stick to the idea of like, yo, we need to stop letting fans make all the decisions. Like, I know it's not all, but the ones that are marketing decisions, but I'm not sure if it's fandom. So I don't want to blame anybody who's not responsible. But Iron Workers, guys, Iron, New York City Iron, like it connotates so much. And I'm probably not the first person to talk about this, but guys, come on. Let's take your name seriously. Like, you know, it doesn't have to be rocked in stone, but come on. Like, this isn't the Free Jacks. Free Jacks. Big first, soft second syllable. Gold, single syllable. Chicago Fires, single syllable. Atlanta Rattlers, single syllable, first syllable, soft second. Like, you can't go too hard syllables. Iron Workers. If it was Iron Workers, you know, you gotta melt it in Iron Workers, maybe we could got something. But Iron Workers, it's too much. It's weird. I mean, it's probably not gonna be a big deal in the grander scheme of things, but it's the same reason why, like, you know, again, it's Giltinis, the Gilgronis. Like, it's so to the throat. I want us to be able to take our names here because we got some serious marketability to be able to take advantage of. And, and everybody could be like, yo, it's easy to criticize. You're not in the back. No. Some things need to be criticized. I'm not saying, and ironically, as I also just said, fans shouldn't have that much control on everything. I ironically say this also in the same guise as, like, also recognize this has to be said over and over and over again. You know, just wrap it back. New York City Iron. I hope people just nickname it the Iron and not say the full Iron Workers name so that at least it feels harder and can still commemorate New York because it's, you know, the iron and cement city, which I guess is all cities, but is the iron and cement known for its iron and cement. So, like, at least be able to, you know, magnify that without being like, we're for the people. Like, it's a little much. It's a little much, man. It's a little much. Another thing that's a little too much, the World Cup happened this weekend, and needless to say, probably one of the best World Cup finals that we probably ever had in maybe 20 years or at least one that I think will at least be memorable. And ironically, the last one that I think is like truly memorable was also involving France. It was France-Italy when Zidane headbutted dude after pissing him off, which was the first time I truly respected soccer in that moment. And yes, I say soccer because go look at the phonetic history of that term. It will be soccer. Blame it on the English. But it's this was a good weekend. Now, mind you, I stuck to the fact, and I put it on Twitter. I was like, yo, this game went from boring to one of the most exciting in 60 seconds. I think more technically it was like 96 seconds. But the tying up and everything, that was dope. But reason I'm talking about this is more so to what's going to happen after this and how this affects rugby. Because with rugby, especially here in the U.S., ironically, I mean, I live in Brazil, but, I speak in terms of the U.S., we have the next run of major international sporting events coming onto our shores. We start off 2026 with World Cup again with the partnership between Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. U.S. being the primary ones. 48 teams come in, 106 games to be played between the three countries. It's gonna be ridiculous. And after that, 2028, we got the Olympics in Los Angeles. Then after that, about 2 years later, 2031 Rugby World Cup. And then 2033 Rugby World Cup. So we have this slate that is just a promotional runway and a template for everything that we need to get done and be able to show off in this time. Now, you might be thinking, a lot of people seem to go, oh, man, we have until 2031 to really get ready. And that might be true for on-field, which I actually don't think it's fully true because 2028, I don't like people missing that rugby Olympic sevens is going to be significant because basically the HSBC is now just a preliminary round into the Olympics. And that's when it comes. I said this before, the Rugby World Cup sevens lost its sachet whenever the Olympics really came in. And whenever we saw 2016 and it was dope, and then even 2020, despite the pandemic, was dope. Rugby World Cup Sevens does not have the same soiree that, I keep changing it. It's the same soiree that Olympic Sevens. So right now, obviously, our biggest focus is 2024. But we are really actually setting up for 2028. And we have to utilize 2026 to be our advantage. What does that mean? What does that mean for us as rugby people? That means, number one, we need to get our marketing straight. That means we need to work on our companies. Guys, I truly put this as a suggestion, even though they're not a sponsor here. You guys need to start using ChatGPT. It's the AI that everybody's been talking about, so it's not new. And if you didn't know what it was, now you do. ChatGPT basically is an AI system. A lot of people liken it to an Alexa that you type into, but it has a much more, what's the best way? Retention rate over time. So basically, it's a system that's learning. Right now, it's free because they just want to get as much information as possible. And honestly, if you're a rugby administrator or you are trying to get a different leg up with your rugby, it's the perfect time that you need to start using ChatGPT before they start charging you for it, which they will. And honestly, I will be using it. One example that I think is always good is when you're doing your sponsorships. Your sponsorship letters, these can be all iffy and, everybody always has a wonder, how do you get this done? ChatGPT can write it up for you. Have ChatGPT write up your sponsorship letter and make sure you just put in the information that you needed to have with it. Save yourself a lot of trouble and time with that. Number two on that, and we'll section this off when it comes to your marketing. Obviously, now content, guys. There's a lot of talk that TikTok might be off, and who knows? But if TikTok does go or becomes illegal, there's a B inside here, it becomes illegal in the U.S. like it is in India, or it gets highly restricted in the U.S., it's very necessary to make sure that you are on these other platforms. Really, the next big platform, not next big platform, the platform that is actually going to be the most relevant, which it is now, probably YouTube Shorts. Instagram still, they started reworking their algorithm to be more of a sharing one without it being overwhelming. But YouTube Shorts probably has not as much virality, but you can get pretty close to what you do with TikTok. And I know this one is actually going to make a big, if TikTok drops from the U.S., it's going to be a big hit against women's rugby specifically, because I think that between obviously the women's Six Nations women's and them being a sponsor for that, World Rugby has been really heavily trying to over-promote on TikTok to make that partnership work. And of course, jump on the backs, not create, but jump on the backs of TikTok stars like Ileana Mar, and actually I think that's about it in rugby. I mean, there's people with high numbers, but that's the biggest star on TikTok. And that can all go in a second if you're not on other platforms prepping. So I would suggest making sure that you're dropping the similar content that you're doing for TikTok. Make sure you're doing it on Shorts. The difference is, though, Shorts obviously is for 1 minute. So, it's back to the super short form content. Then obviously building up on YouTube. But because it is YouTube and Google, these are elements that actually can pay. And they actually just made a change on that one where 10 million, if you get 10 million views, I think per year, you are eligible for payment, and that's including Shorts. And Shorts get dumb crazy views. So it used to be like 4,000 hours, which like 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 hours, no penalties on your stuff. And now it's moving to 10 million views, which is 10 million views combined. So what you do on Shorts, which, like I said, Shorts runs virally. And then, obviously, what you can do on YouTube, and then that's where your payments. So this can also be a fundraising element for you. It becomes far more necessary because TikTok doesn't pay for crap. TikTok Creator Fund doesn't pay for crap. So I want to pass some of this information on. Another thing that it's very, very needed to be able to continue on is to make sure that you are aligning with these companies and making sure that they're pushing it. Because when it comes to 2026, when the World Cup comes to U.S., Canada, comes to North America, this is going to be an opportunity where you will have a massive influx of international talent. Now, not every city, every location is going to necessarily have those people there. Obviously, it's going to go to specific cities. I think they've already been named, if I remember correctly. I don't remember the name, but I know they've been named. But it's an opportunity for you to utilize paid media, one, and then, like I said, connecting with your businesses. The two go hand in hand. This is being able to pay for ads. This gives you a lot more targeting. Gives people a lot more stories to be able to connect you back, and that can be used through Google ads or Facebook. Even though we all know Facebook has a much more limited search algorithm for its paid media, for its ads, but still literally one of the best. It's almost the equivalent of saying that Netflix subscriber numbers have dropped, but it's still like far and above, further ahead in subscriber numbers than the next closest subscriber individually, which I think they try and claim it as Amazon Prime, but because Prime, everybody has Prime for the stuff, but really it's like Disney Plus, and it's still by 100 million. So you really need to make sure that you are aware and taking advantage of these things while the time is here to do it. So utilize ChatGPT. Make sure it makes all your standard documents. Help you with your standard documents. What you need to send out to sponsors. What you need to send out as official documentation for press releases. Help it with the stuff that you used to sit back and be like, I have no idea how to formulate a proper template for this. How do I formulate a proper template for this? No. Use ChatGPT to formulate your template and then go insert your information in there and let it do the work for you. Like, save yourself a lot of time because it'll take a few seconds and it'll make your life a lot easier. Number 2, make sure you're spreading your content out into all sorts of different places because, again, TikTok might end up shutting down. And even if it doesn't, you don't want to limit yourself to 1 or 2 platforms. Legitimately, you need to do probably the full 5. That's full 5. What I say is TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. These are the full 5. Now, there's other ones like Be Real and stuff that are kind of popping up. You can do stuff on Reddit, but the reach difference is a little different. And of course, Twitter. I'm sorry. Even with Elon Musk, whatever, Twitter is still one of the primary news level stuff. So whatever it is that you're doing, at least drop a little something inside there. It might be busy. It takes time, but it's going to be worth it. And it makes it so that whenever 2026 comes around, you have something for people to understand and literally building people into 2026. We're doing this with the HBC Rugby Classic. You're going to see more and more content from me because now I'm kind of shifting out my business model with it. And of course, I'm constantly going to be saying, hey, we got some great stuff coming up and I don't want you guys to miss out. Straight off the bat, HBCU Rugby Classic tickets are going up for sale starting on Black Friday. It is going to be the cheapest they'll ever be. It is great seats. We're talking about VIP, talking about our general seats. HBCU Rugby Classic happening on March 31st through April 2nd in Washington, D.C. at Howard University. It's going to be the first time on Howard campus. And why should you go to it? We are going to be the most dynamic, entertaining rugby tournament that you have ever seen. It's not even a tournament. We're a showcase. We're here to be able to show culture, HBCUs, and the mixture into rugby culture. It is something to be seen, from step shows, great rugby performances, and musical performances as well. So much that will be happening, and you don't want to miss out on it at all. Definitely go to hbcurugbyclassic.com. Go check our ticketing, and it will take you directly to our event, and definitely grab in. Tickets will only stay at this Black Friday price until Christmas. So I'm giving it a full month until Christmas, and then from there, we're going up. But I'm telling you, the value is going to be worth it right now, so don't miss out on 1 second of it. hbcurugbyclassic.com, 2023 HBC Rugby Classic. Check out Howard University being there first. Check out the rivalry of Prairie View, A&M, and Morehouse. Get to see some international, the youth. It's going to be amazing. You don't want to miss a second of it. But it is absolutely important that you are also doing it for your club, because these are advantages that we need to be able to take to develop on so that we can develop. And this is then goes into what you do on field and grassroots and stuff. But right now, that's a whole different element. But right now, I want to just give you the things that you have the highest immediate levels of control. So sponsors, ChatGPT for standardizing your documents. Spread your content around more and more onto different platforms. And then, of course, third, make sure that you are absolutely using your paid media when the time comes, especially 2026, to target people and get it in. Whether it's $50 or something like that, you just need to be able to get it and target in on a few people. It'll make this process a lot faster and help be able to push your objectives a little bit more each time. With that being said, guys, I want us to go ahead. Let's get started on this interview. Once again, Isaiah Washington, Southern University Rugby head coach, Southern University Rugby founder, and just all around great guy. I enjoyed the conversation. It was great time. I hope you guys enjoy, get some information. And of course, please make sure that you guys are sharing this, liking this, subscribing, please. And I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you specifically. Make sure that you are actually sharing this. To your friends and family. We need to make sure we spread this out the proper way. Going into 2023, we're coming in hard. We've been 3 years of strong suffering. 3 years of strong suffering. We're not suffering anymore, all right? Let's keep it going. This is for all of us. And thank you for those who have shared it. I will say thank you. I know, like, Rugby Morning, thank you so much. And everybody who shared, commented, and everything. And I hope also that you guys have been liking the movie reviews. I hope to be able to continue. Just did one for Jungle Cry. We'll be continuing some more over this break and posting them onto this platform and YouTube, of course. GiftTime Rugby and the works. And you guys can find us Instagram at Rugby Swag and all that stuff. I know, I'm saying it late. As I just said, we need to get into the interview. So let's get into the interview. Isaiah Washington, Southern University Rugby.
Grow rugby, 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 grow rugby. Let's go to rock.
Hey everybody, this is just the break train sending out a personal little video diary to all you people out there, where I am going to document me riding most of the way between Singapore and Tokyo for the 2019 Rugby World Cup.
I needed help, and it came from Louisiana.
We in Singapore, baby!
Gift from GiftTime Rugby USA is an extroverted tour de force. But what unites us is a hunger for adventure.
Off to KL, Kuala Lumpur.
Yeah! Woo! Gift, where are we?
We're in Vietnam!
Morning, Vietnam! Mount Fuji, baby!
Our love of Asian rugby culture.
1, 2, 3, center!
Yeah!
Rugby is starting to develop here in Cambodia for women as well.
Valkyries, the mighty, mighty Valkyries!
We're out here, we're running out of energy, we're running out of money, and we're feeling isolated. And yet at that critical moment, friends, family, sometimes complete strangers come on board. Before you know it, we're back in the game.
Tokyo, here we come!
Malaysia, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam. Watch the full adventure at crugby.vhx.tv. That's C like SEE rugby.vhx.tv. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of Rugby Swag, where we talk to people about the things that they have done, created, or founded through opportunities via rugby. Got a V, double I, all right? Super P, all right? The P's of P's over here. I think I made it make sense, VI. You know, it doesn't matter because we got Isaiah Washington, Southern University, former Arkansas State, military man, just an innovator of his own kind. Isaiah, brother, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing great. Hey, I appreciate the introduction, Gift. It's good to be here. It's good to have an opportunity to talk HBCU rugby. At least my portion of it, trying to add to.
It's about the incrementation. We want to make sure the energy is coming in correctly so that people can understand how important this really is and what we got going on in these moments.
Absolutely. So there's been a lot of trailblazers, a lot that have done so much to get this started, and I just want to do my part to kind of extend. And hopefully some of the things that I'm doing be an example for not the rugby clubs, but the administration to get behind, making this thing happen, making HBCU rugby a thing with pretty much every bit of gear. This is like the only Southern University rugby gear that I have. I've got about 4 shirts that I don't have #HBCU rugby on the back. Because I'm trying to get that to stick,
Let's go.
To get that to stick.
I'm here for that. And also what you just said was you got your 4 what do they call it? Exclusive jerseys.
Exclusive.
The first one, you're right. We're setting the price for the future. We're setting the price early, all right? Understand there's a value.
It's gonna be vintage in about 10 years. We're gonna look at vintage,
That's what I'm talking about.
First edition.
Look. There we go. First edition Southern University rugby jersey. I love it. But, I whenever it comes to this, I always like really making sure to talk about a hero story because every hero does absolutely have their story. And I know you got one because we talk a lot. So whatever you guys are hearing now is basically what we just talk about in person, maybe more or less. And then some. So, yo, Isaiah, man, I want to ask you on your origin story, how did you get started with rugby?
You know, I walked on at Arkansas State to play football, and it was one of those things. Like I was 160 pounds. I ran about a 4.7 when I graduated high school. Didn't get any playing time, and you know, it was one of those things where I was like, you know, I'm kind of, I got a decent skill. I could have got a little bit of playing time. But you know, so I kind of just focused on walking on at Arkansas State, and in a year and a half, by the time I walked on, I was 200 pounds. I ran a 4.47, and so you know, I was at the time ASU was terrible in football, but I looked at it as like, you know, I kind of need a scholarship or I need to work to pay for school, so I just kind of walked away from that and started playing flag football. And a couple of guys were like, "Hey, man, you should play rugby." And then after a couple of times, you know, people saying that, I was like, "Okay, well, let me check it out." And you know, we were D2 at the time, and you know, I was the fastest guy on the field. It was great, you know. It means I didn't get touched much, you know.
Right.
And we were, you know, and
again,
right. And we were in D2, and you know, eventually, Coach Kurt Huckabee. Rest in peace. He was our coach, and it was one of those things that he had no problem calling me a prima donna because my jersey was always the cleanest. You know, and you know, it was, and Coach Kurt had a great way of humbling. Like, so I'd score 2 tries a game, and we're watching film, and everybody talking trash, and he like fast forward and be like, "See this tackle he missed." He gave up a try, so that negates one of those tries. And so I was like, "All right, coach, hey, you know." And he was, so I never, as much as you know, my name made the school paper, and you know all the exciting plays that I made. At film session, coach had a great way of bringing me back down to earth. Like, you know, there's one thing that I hear coaches say. That second year rugby player that you know they just start thinking they know the game. Never had that problem. Never had that problem under Coach Kurt. You know, he was.
You're like,
and one thing. Yeah, basically, and you know, but there was one thing that you know really, and to this day, that kind of I'm going to take with. It's like, you know, your scrum is why you always had wide open tries, or a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1, because if it takes 2 or 3 to tackle your prop and 2 to 3 to tackle your second row, and that's going to always create an overload, and you're going to always benefit as the wing. And so I was like, well, yeah, coach, you know, thank you for again.
Thank you for reminding me again that I don't have anything except for what you guys provide me. Fine.
Absolutely. And so, you know, but Arkansas State had a really great program, and it continued to climb. You know, for 2 coaches, the other coach, the scrum coach, was Coach Dr. Stewart, Patrick Stewart. He's the professor at the University of Arkansas right now, still a mentor to this day. But you know, it was 2 coaches. We practiced twice a week. We brought running shoes on Monday. And training on Tuesday, Thursday. Whereas you fast forward to a lot of these Division I programs now, it's like 3-4 days and a fitness strength and conditioning program. And I'm like, man, if I had a strength and conditioning program, all I did was pretty muscle in college, like curls, bench press, and squat. Easy day. But no, so you know, from there I moved on to Dallas. I played sevens with the Harlequins. Great program. This is Dallas Harlequins had a really good program I can't remember about what time when they started to decline, and I think just there was a shift in a lot of Super Rugby in America before it was the MLR. There were certain cities that had like pretty good teams and programs.
You're talking about that 2010, 2011 time period?
Yeah, yes. Yeah, right before that. Yeah. And so I played sevens there and it was fun. And then I moved back to Little Rock, I decided to move back to Little Rock and, getting to be close to Arkansas State. There was a couple of alumni that got recent graduates that a few of them would have gotten MLR shots if there was an MLR, but they were playing in Little Rock. And just around that time, Dr. Jules McCoy started coaching 15s, and it just changed the culture of the club. And Dr. Jules McCoy, I always say doctor, but Jules McCoy.
I know. Look, when you work for that PhD, properly give it its credit.
Hey, well, no, it ain't a PhD. She's a neurologist. Like she's a neurologist. She got that medical degree out of Tulane, I believe.
Nice.
But it was always great. It's like going. She established an academy, and it's a women's academy where basically creating a pipeline to that sevens Eagles team. And that was one of the things that's kind of just being around that atmosphere. And then even when she'd bring in her Eagles, Phaedra, I remember when Phaedra came down and she was able to get the Maori women's team. And being at that Eagles, playing touch against them, that was the first time I ever got stepped by a woman. I was like, what is going on? And I was good, man.
It was just shocking. It threw you off. It just threw
oh man. It was just like one of those things. I never competed against women in touch or rugby, and then once that happened, I was like, okay, hey, let's get it. It was fun. It was so much fun because at that point you're dealing with almost your equal. Like when they're at that level, and I wasn't at that level, but when they're at that level, you got to be sharp. Their skill level is so high, and so. But I, fast forward to when she was in had her academy running, I was like very engaged. She brought in coaches from all over the world to help develop. But what the one thing that I'm going to take with me as I create a sevens program for women and men is that the men and women did drills together the first 30 minutes. And so we were all like going back and forth in whatever drill we were doing. And then we'd separate, Little Rock Rugby men, and then the academy would go. And so that was very cool. I went too far. Like in 2011, I made the All-Army sevens team. 2012, 13, one of those times, I'm 40 now, man. Everything, all these years, just kind of running.
It all just runs together at this point,
But that was so eye-opening, and that tournament, it just so happened to be the International Armed Forces tournament, and so they had British Royal Army, British Royal Air Force, the French military was there, Australian Army was there, and I'm trying to remember, it might have been another one, but went up against in a scrimmage against the British Royal Army. And you think Britain, you think, okay, Brits. It was like 13 Virginians. And I was like,
hey,
look, this 17 could fly, and they blew. And if you look up British Royal Army, even to this day, they blow out everybody they play.
Right,
they've got a really good team.
They said it's the British Royal Army and the colonies.
Right,
and everybody. We were in a lot of places.
But it was such a great experience going up against our, the main tournament whenever we're against, Army, Air Force, Marine, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard. And it was just cool. You're playing for pride, but then there's that camaraderie and that brotherhood of, hey, we're all serving. And as of the last, ever since the deployments kind of died down, like Air Force was owning rugby. But when the deployments dialed down, it's like, okay, Air Force, you stay in your place. Army got this, So that's been kind of wonderful to see. Even if I, not being able to compete with them, I've been able to watch and follow. And Coach Drown, who was a Special Forces commander, retired. He also ended up being the Fijian team manager.
Nice.
So he retired as a colonel and went on to be the Olympic Sevens team.
Nice.
Yeah. And
said I went from gold to gold. Nothing but wins.
Right. Right. And Chief Nick Punamata, he was the assistant coach. And let me tell you how, and I hate to tell on myself, I tore my knee, tore my meniscus, and I applied. I didn't think I was going to make it, the All-Army team. And so I kind of waited to start getting fit till I knew I made it. I don't know why I had that logic and shit. And so we go, and I make the camp. I make it to the camp in Utah, and the elevation's like it's 3,000. I'd never ever competed.
Screw your lungs at that point. Like,
oh my gosh,
barely oxygen.
Never competed. And so we're going through camp, and I'm making play after play, but whenever we're doing like drills, fitness tests and things.
Right.
Struggling.
Just dying.
And, oh man. Like I was already not fit and we're dealing with elevation. And so, and so they're doing selections and like cuts in both Coach Colonel Drown and Coach Nick, they both bring me in. And they're like, we're gonna keep it honest. You're the most unfit person here. And my head just kind of went down. Like, letting everybody down.
It's cold-blooded.
Hey, I know this from Jules. Being coached by Jules, fitness was a thing. There's been a couple of times I didn't make the team because of fitness. She didn't care how good you were.
Fitness issues.
If fitness was the thing. And Coach Kirk was big on fitness too. And I normally was fit, but this particular time, just coming back from injury, I didn't have a coach yelling at me.
Right.
The selections are in a whole different state. But anyway, they sit me down. You're the most unfit person here, and then but you make plays, so you're going to be on the team.
It's the internal conflict. Whoo! Can he stay on the field? But when he's on the field, he can do all the work.
Oh man!
For how long?
Oh man! For how long? Hey, just if you can give me, because you and I both know sevens. 2 minutes can feel like an eternity.
Oh, that's a whole hour right there. That's a whole hour. You're like you're just like, didn't I just get on? How am I already dying right now?
But no, it was so eye opening because I never in college I never cared about making an all-star team, and this is when they actually had a pretty good structure for all Americans and all the regional teams. They had a really good structure and they use college to really develop into the farm system of development and those all-American tours that they were able to develop these guys. And I was just like, hey, it's championship or bust for me,
Right.
But so being able to make an all-star team, it was good. It was a great time. And having that camaraderie with those guys in the Army and even guys from other branches I'm still close with. So it's been really cool.
That's legit.
Really good rugby upbringing.
It's a good hierarchy. It's a good rugby environment that you were able to get brought under. I want to backtrack real quick though to kind of back to your Arkansas State days because there's a few things you kind of just like wash over. You're like, I played Arkansas State. I was fast, and then we just went. Minus so I played under Kurt Huckabee, who has a whole field named after him right now.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah.
In that transition for you, going from football. I mean, the fact that you also talked about the fact that you dropped 0.3 seconds in your 40, and you're just like, I left 4.4. No, so I'm let it be known. It was not lost. All right, I let you go, but we're not going to act like these are small things. but like, so for you, you're playing flag football at the time, which I know so many former football players who, especially on campus, end up going to play flag football and dominating it. But it's a hollow feeling, to say the least.
Really,
a very
absolutely.
hollow feeling. So from you going from flag football, not being able to get play time on the football team to the rugby team, for you, what was that transition like? Was it, obviously you said that you had the speed on the field, but you were at that point 4.7 speed, not 4.4 speed. So whenever you were acclimating to that at Arkansas State, and this is about the time where they were really starting to ramp up their foreign players acquisitions, right? How were you feeling in that moment competing against those players who obviously had the skills, but you just came off of, even if ASU wasn't the greatest, it's still college football program. How did you feel whenever you were on that field at that first time? Those were the first initial times.
When I first came there, like ASU had a reputation, like it was they'd won the D2 national championship 2 years prior. They had a few All-Americans already. The team that I was on, like, they didn't start getting the influx of international players till about 2009, 2010. So like it was mostly like getting kids from Texas, Chicago, primarily. Those were the pipelines. But I think for me, what kind of helped was the team that I was on. Like it was such a brother, and I think that's so cliche. I know it's cliche. A lot of people say that, but I saw the camaraderie, and like what helped me like really push is there was an alumni game, and it's it was the current team versus the old boys,
right?
And they were still in shape. Those old boys were still in, for the most part, decent shape. So
they're probably still playing for what it's worth.
Yeah, some of them were.
Yeah.
And it's the one game of the year. Like you got alumni that's that the ones that are still in town know where all the current players play, so they're still in all the cleats before the game and doing all this. I didn't know about this at the time, but they're just doing it. It's like a lot of pranks and a lot of hazing and stuff like that. And so they play the game. I think the final score ended up being like 10-3, and I mean collisions, hits, like just beating the brakes off each other. Like so much pride was at stake. I didn't really realize at the time, but I just saw the physicality, and I saw that nobody was really breaking. I think the final score ended up being 10-3. But after the game, just such embrace of each other, such respect. Right. And I was like, I want to be a part of that. That's what got me. Everybody had been trying to get me to play for a while, friends that I'd made.
Right.
But, I had a friend invite me to the game. A woman, she was on the women's team, and she was like, "Hey, you might want to come see that." And I just watched it, and I was like, "Yeah, I want to be a part of this." And so that was really the thing that got me, because there were people in flag football saying you should play, you should do this, you're fast. But looking at that is what drew me to wanting to be a part. And it was extremely and they were all welcoming. We had a lot of speed. There was a lot of speed. A lot of guys that eventually ended up being All-Americans, and on that team that I was playing with. We were all young. We played in 2005. We lost the title game in 2004 to Salisbury State in Stanford, which was that campus. I was like, man, I should have been doing more in high school. Like, that campus
this is Palo Alto. No wonder so many tech people coming out from here. I see you. What's his name? Dude who made Apple. I don't know why I just forgot his name at this exact moment. But yeah, Steve Jobs. I see you, Steve Jobs. I got you, Bill Gates. Even though he's Harvard, but still, yeah, man. No, I can feel that.
So it was. So we lost that, and the next year we come back, bringing everybody back. We got a new, and everybody's healthy. We moved Jarvis Alberry was my roommate.
Nice.
He ended up being an Eagle, Sevens Eagle. We were same bill, and Coach used to always call me Jarvis and call him my name. And I'm like, Coach. And so that's when Dave Chappelle was at the height, and so they called us Twin Brother Darkness. And so Coach started doing it. I was like, Coach, come on, man. Oh man, and it was crazy. It was a fun time. It was a fun time that year. When the year we lost the title was like, man, we were saying Dave Chappelle quotes all during the game. We were having fun. That lead up, like you couldn't tell us anything in the South. You couldn't tell us nothing. Like we lost.
I was gonna say that Little John, the Little John lines were everything. Yeah. Everything. What? Okay.
It was a fun time, and you know, we at that time, and then the next year everybody got hurt. You know, I got hurt. You know, and it was one of those things like we were playing against a rival in intramural basketball, and I tore my meniscus, and so this is like the end of the fall going into the spring. And like we had lost like our starting inside center, so we lost our starting fly half, our starting center, both centers. I mean, like we lost 7 starters by the time we made it to the playoffs, and these are guys that were intricate parts of that. Like we beat. So this is the thing, like we couldn't afford to travel. That's the only reason why we was in D2. We couldn't afford to travel in D1. So so we would always play University of Tennessee, who was always ranked in the top 10, top 15 in D1. And I'll just tell you, whoever was the home team won, period.
Nice.
Like, I don't know what it was in the years that I played, whoever was the home team won. It was a bitter ride. And it was fun, you know, like, and it was always close. It wasn't like it was one, you know, so we could compete with anybody. It's just, we couldn't regionally afford, you know, to
couldn't make that travel consistently.
Yeah, we couldn't. And, you know, not if we wanted to make it to the playoffs and move, because, you know, just the way college was set up back then. And I mean,
still is even to this day.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think it's a struggle now. And so looking at that, you know, there was, so yeah, you know, that time was fun, but you know, my last year we lost to Florida State. And you know, we played with like rookies, like we played with guys that would never have gotten the field, and they were in starting positions, you know.
Was that was the same year that you guys were super injured going into the playoffs?
Yes. So 2005, the spring of 2005 was when we, you know, we just had a rough go, but some people got healthy after, like, you know, and so in 2005, you know, post the playoff, we had like I think 5 All-Americans, 1 honorable mention.
Nice.
We had a squad.
You guys had a squad on you.
We would have been pretty good. Yeah.
Did you ever get a champion? Did you ever get a championship while you were playing?
Never.
I know you said
I never got a chance.
That sucks.
Never.
Because it's like so close but so far, right? Yeah.
So in 2003 was my first year. 2003 spring was my first spring. I played in the fall 2002. 2003 we lost in the Elite Eight. 2004 we lost in the Final Four, and in 2005 we lost in the championship at Stanford. Now in 2005 was the injury riddled year. We still made it to the South Final. Nice. I was hobbling around on one leg playing wing. It was awful. I had a rookie as my outside center, and he saved my tail a lot because he could tackle. Like,
that's legit.
He couldn't
do
legit
it
at the time. Like, that was one thing that, like, he wasn't missing any tackles. He wasn't big, but he was definitely like capable of doing the job. But yeah, it was one of those things where we just didn't have numbers, and we couldn't afford to have somebody come in and wing that didn't know the game. And so yeah, after that, honestly, that's when I moved to Dallas shortly after that. Around 2006, 2007, started back to playing in 2007. And there, yeah, that was it. And so when funny thing about D1 rugby, so there's a guy who played for Little Rock, brilliant player, like legitimately brilliant player. He played at Dartmouth. He's from Arkansas, went back to medical school in Little Rock. And so he's playing, we're playing, and he's good. Like I'm happy. Like this dude is on my team. Like the dude is good. Probably one of the best players I ever played with. Like legit. Like the guy was talented. And so he's like, ASU goes to D1, they make it to the playoffs, and he's like, oh well, I see y'all in the playoffs. Now y'all can finally see, what D1 rugby is all about. I'm like, okay, all right, you don't know. And I don't like to jaw about things I care. I'll talk trash all day about stuff that doesn't matter, but I don't bet on teams I love, and I don't talk trash like that. I'm a very humble when it comes to that type of stuff. I don't want any jinxing to take place. But yeah, he was really like going there, and I was like, okay. And so Arkansas State ended up playing against Dartmouth in the playoffs. He was like, hey, let's do a wager. I was like, nah. And ASU,
the funny thing is, this is one of those situations where you have the most amount of control on it because you actually got to. Well, no, you weren't playing at that point, right?
No.
It was spectating. Okay, I feel you. Yeah, I would have been hesitant too. I would have been hesitant just because you don't have the control on the game like you want to.
I know, yeah. And so fast forward, we were playing a game and he found out the score, and he's quiet,
Yo.
ASU didn't work, and it was the start of them having some really, really successful years that ended up winning 2 sevens titles in a row. They've struggled with continuity as a coaching staff. Like I think they've lost a lot of coaches for various reasons, and it takes a hit in your recruiting. It takes a hit on a lot, but back to Dartmouth. When he was playing, they lost to Tennessee into the year that we beat Tennessee. So I was like, I would have loved to have played y'all. I would have loved to play y'all. But
it's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
Oh man, absolutely. But no, it was. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So I wanted to, because you're setting that up. And obviously, you mentioned
Keep going.
No problem.
Keep going.
You mentioned the All Army team that you were. What was the point wherever you decided to go ahead and join the military, and then subsequently, what was that experience in terms of how it affected the way that you played rugby outside of obviously the All Army team?
The Army kind of came out of necessity. I didn't finish college at that first time. Mm-hmm. I was looking for something, I was looking for something to kind of give me some level of push, if you will.
Right.
And that's kind of why I went to the military. I was like, I obviously know that I'm capable of more. Rugby was basically what was keeping me in school at the time. I didn't have focus, and discipline. So I was very much looking for that, and I found it in the military, and while I was in school, or one of the schools, I advanced individual training, AIT, to learn my job. I was in the lab. I just started, goofing off. I remembered my ASU password, and I reapplied for school and got the information from their ROTC. And so I was back on campus, and joined ROTC. They had a structure that basically helped me get to where I was able to commission as an officer and graduate. It's a very good program. And it was also great being 30 and having 18, 19, and 20-year-olds that I could just smoke in PT.
Let them know them youngins what's up.
Yeah, right. Especially whenever I was playing for the All Army Rugby. So I also not only played that one tournament, the Armed Forces. We go to Vegas every year too. So I played in a tournament in Vegas as well.
Mm-hmm.
And that was exciting. It was one of those things to where it gave me an opportunity to just further enjoy that camaraderie with the guys. And it was so. It's always funny how people. So again, Arkansas State is doing really well in rugby,
right?
And I make the team, and obviously, we're all together. And these West Point. And it was like, hey, you're from Arkansas, right? I'm like, yeah. And I know where this is going. I don't talk trash. I don't have to. My team does the talking for me, unless they play BYU or Cal at the time. And they were like, I was like, Arkansas State. And they was like, yeah, we thought so. And then walked away. Because ASU had been beating.
Nobody wants that smoke.
In the playoffs. They beat them in the beat. Yeah, they beat Army West Point in the playoffs, and so they probably wouldn't have cared about Arkansas State either way, because it's Arkansas State.
Very obscure in what, Lamar, Arkansas? No, that's Texas. I'm thinking in
Jonesboro, right?
Jonesboro, Jonesboro.
About an hour from Memphis. So
right.
it was cool.
What was the process of you getting onto the All Army team? I've heard it a bunch of times, and you see it all the time. Because I even know I just off of the most recently. I remember watching. I mean, we've watched them multiple times. Obviously, they won a championship, but you hear about them a lot, but I never really understand exactly how much the military puts into their sports programs, and subsequently what the process is into getting onto them, because they feel very exclusive while simultaneously open. Yeah.
So that's a good question. So I was able to. There was an Army, an Air Force guy who was connected, and he was in Little Rock, old boy, and he just knew the military rugby fraternity, right? And so he was just like, hey, they do this, you'd probably dominate. Just kind of go and give it a go, and he gave me some contact information. But the thing about Army is they legitimately have a website. It's called MWR. It's like the Army MWR, and basically what that is I don't know what MWR stands for, but you apply, and it's all sports can apply.
Yeah.
And basically they apply. Like the Army is the one that they put a whole lot of money and investment in it.
Right.
And so you're on military, you can apply, give your resume on, you can talk about why they should consider you. And it's pretty detailed process on how they do it. But if you know somebody, so to speak, in that realm, there are ways to make an all military team so you can get noticed. Now, this is when you could go to Vegas and do that. I know they may have other means of how they want to do it, but I don't know what it is now, but I do know back then that was how you would do it. You apply, and if your resume was, and you could send film too.
Of course,
yourself.
sending film. So did they provide any other benefits outside of just playing? Was there like any points that were provided to you? I use points loosely, but a credit given to you as a military person playing a sport that is under this the military athletics? Was it like a class credit or anything like that that added or gave you years, or they can count it out against something?
No. So like, if you were able to make the actual team, like, so there was like if you got on the radar and you were able to make it to Vegas, right? Where that's not the sanctioned tournament. The sanctioned tournament, the Armed Forces tournament, is for sevens, is in Colorado during the Serevi tournament, in Glendale. But they would go the early
Rugby
tournament.
Town.
Rugby Town, yeah, Rugby Town. Yeah. Sorry. And you would go, but in order to be noticed on top to give yourself a better chance to make that team, you go and everybody would just show up in Vegas, and we'd have a camp, and then through that camp, you show out then. Well, that's basically your lodging would be paid for. Like we'd pile everybody in like a big house or something like that. But as far as now, if you made that team, you're getting paid for it. You're getting paid. Yes, you get paid your rank.
I was gonna say has to be. It always felt like there had to be some additional benefit than just play. Like I get it for a normal college program, but so much seems to be invested into the athletics. That's what I was wondering. Is there a credit or something that is provided? Okay, so is it like a stipend or an actual like paycheck?
You are on military orders.
Okay.
If you make the All Army team and you are gone for that tournament, you're on military orders. So basically, like, you're getting paid your rank, even if you're full-time military or not. You like, I was a National Guardsman at the time, so I just got paid what I would get for 2 week. It's active pay, but I was put on active status for the tournament, and so it's for the camp, 1 week of camp and 1 week of the tournament. So it was cool. Like, so we didn't get anything. Like we got that. We got gear, which was cool. I still have it.
Nice.
Like a jumpsuit, like an All Army jumpsuit, Adidas. It was sweet, black and gold. And so we got some gear, some swag. And so it was a good time. It was a very good time.
What was the environment like? So in comparison to what you dealt with at Arkansas State to what you dealt with in the Army, what was the rugby environments like? Were they similar or were they different? Or like how your preparation?
It was all business. All business. Like, coach was there to win. It was like no shenanigans. Like, he give you one, we had one night, like days before, where we, kind of go out, where, just hang out or whatever outside of that. But Coach Drown was 100% about business. We were there to win, period. And so the atmosphere was more like a team that was professional.
Okay.
Like, whenever we went to Vegas, we were far away from the strip.
Yeah.
He didn't want that distraction. So it was good. It was good. Everybody had that same focus. And so, and you were you could see who the leader was, I won't say alpha, but like, there were a couple of guys that showed up and you just knew they were about business too. They were an extension of Coach. And so they were setting the standard as to like how we were going to conduct ourselves. And so it was just easy. Hey, cool. Hey, easy day, because we were still a club whenever I was playing. So at Arkansas State, like, even though we were about business and we had certain things in place, that level of professionalism wasn't there. Like we were still college kids, but we still knew not to trifle with coach. You know,
right. You guys knew your lane, but this is also habitual line steppers simultaneously.
Right. Hey, Coach Kurt was that guy that if he saw that we were goofing off in drills before a game, he'd make us run sprints.
Sheesh.
Like all out sprints.
Wear out the body, but hey, you make a point.
That was the one game that I was glad I wasn't starting. I was like, whoo. It was something else. But Coach Kurt would do stuff like that. He'd do stuff like that all the time to get, hey, you're not focused, you're about to get focused.
You're going to understand. You're going to recognize what focus really means. You're going to know today. No, I love that. I love that. And who's the coach that you guys had for Army during your time?
His name was Coach Colonel Drown, and the assistant coach was Nick Punamata. An Islander, both rugby guys.
Right.
His son, Coach Punamata's son, actually made the Eagles team. He played college football at UTEP, made the Eagles team for sevens, and decided to go to special forces route. Still moving up in that route. Like he's a good, humble guy. Like, but yeah, no, they created a culture that's still long standing. Like they're still winning, they still walk in now knowing that if you're playing for this Army team, you're here to win. Period. And so I'm a huge fan of that and some of those things that I kind of want to adapt as I move on to coaching and preparation for that.
So for you, since you having these experiences obviously gave you a real deep dive into rugby theory and really active rugby action. Even if ASU was the early point, you still had the setup going into it, and then obviously the military provided another level of discipline that went forward. In all that knowledge, what brought it to now wanting to work with the HBCU side? Like, what was the motivation between then and to where you're at now?
You know, honestly, it's cheesy to say. So like
the best stuff are actually that's not true, but most stuff are.
You know, so I wanted to have my own team, right? I actually not just have my own team to coach, but I want to find a way to give athletes opportunities, specifically find athletes that were good enough to play college football, basketball, or track. And I felt like if I was like, hey, if I can create a scholarship fund, I can do this at the University of Arkansas. They've got that Walmart money. Or I can do this at LSU because I'm from Louisiana. I'm just thinking like, which place can I have the biggest impact? Well, I was deployed in Kosovo. And while I was forming all this, kind of drafting up the dream and taking notes, I started a journal.
Right.
And I watched Black Panther in theaters while I was deployed. And I just had a moment where I was like, what would the Wakanda of rugby look like? And I'm just enamored in a lot of the things that's going on and throughout the movie. I'm like, that can only happen at an HBCU. So all the things that I wanted to do to make like rugby expansive, to make rugby have an immense amount of resources, to have the best of everything, I wanted to channel that to an HBCU.
Right.
And so that's where the vision became and came to me. And that's when I just started moving forward from there. And this was 2017-18 time frame. And I just kind of just wanted to make that happen. And I got to a lot. I had a lot of no's before I got to a few yeses to kind of help get that. And it's to know, and it's like, I don't fault any HBCU. I just didn't have the answer to give them, to make them, to sway them.
Reassurance to provide.
Yeah. like for me, you know, we know the black community doesn't really we don't know much about rugby in general.
Right.
Like we just don't know much about rugby. And what we do know is misconceptions like, oh man, you know, no pads. And so it's one of those things that, you know, hey, you know, you don't get hit if you don't have the ball. But then even that doesn't sound like a whole huge endorsement of the sport, right? But you know, I reached out to Hampton University athletic director. He loved the idea, but he was like, "Hey, we just gathered this women's sport." And let me backtrack. I spoke with somebody about this. He was a part of the administration at Howard and Hampton. A family friend. And he ended up telling me, he's like, hey, this sounds good. Hey, we'll let you know that, look, I can't remember if it was Howard or Hampton, but one of those schools had the first lacrosse team to go D1. And their first game was on ESPN. Their first Division I game was on ESPN. And so he kind of started helping me like, hey, you know, this is something that you might want to aspire to. You need to get an advisory board. That's what they did, you know, just kind of, you know, to create so you don't have to create a foundation, you know, or if you create a foundation, you have that advisory board to support you.
To back up on, right.
Yeah. And to do a lot of the legwork of nonprofit that, or if, you know, the administrative stuff that goes into funding and a program.
Right.
And so I started thinking about, oh, wow, I want to be D1. I want to be able to say that we're this, so that we're able to maximize getting the message out about HBCU
at its highest
rugby.
Platform too, right?
And at its highest platform, and not just being there, being able to compete,
right?
And not just
nobody wants to be a
competing,
punching bag,
you know. No. And so we're going to properly take our steps, but you know, again, I didn't have myself prepared. So like I went to Hampton, got a no, or not right now. I got a not right now. We don't have the funding. Well, I never anticipated getting support. I was always going to find the resources, but I didn't have all my research done to be able to say that to them. And went to Grambling, same thing. The assistant at the athletic director. And it's like, I had to take a step back from reaching out until I can answer a lot of these questions that they're asking me. Or when they tell me, when they bring up a reason why they can't, I just give them a reason.
You have a
why
counter for it ready to go.
Absolutely. And so it took me months and months and months of just figuring out who to talk to, how to talk to them. I landed on Tennessee State. That was something that I was really, really trying to get done, because I thought that Nashville had a great opportunity for the city itself to really grow in rugby. And Memphis inner city was right down the road. So like, you know, it would have been really easy to bring quality rugby, good athletes, and Tennessee State's in Nashville. Like Nashville's a beautiful city, you know. I was like, oh, I'd be able to easily get kids to come here. But Tennessee didn't have the infrastructure. They didn't even have a field. They don't have a field to play flag football. So I was like,
yeah,
you know,
it's too much starting from too much of a bottom to start from. Yeah.
And this is, I think, around the time I got connected with you. Whenever I started looking at Louisiana,
Tennessee State was the first one. Yeah,
and thankfully, what got me, I had a friend who did fundraising for Arkansas State, like the university, their foundation, and he said, "Hey, you know, since you're trying to do all the fundraising anyway, since you are doing everything you can to raise the money, talk to the foundation. Tell them that if they give you a seat at the table of their 501c3, you'll raise all the money." And I did.
Yep.
And
they gave you a
they
seat.
said they gave me a seat. So I didn't have to create my own foundation.
Nice.
I walk in being able to tell any foundation, any company, corporation that I have a 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
I have that ID number waiting to give to you right now. And so that was huge. And I was like, while I'm at it, let me see. And the person that really helped greenlight this was the director of development for the Southern University System Foundation, Robert Harrison. He saw the potential. He wants to bring other sports to Southern, you know, and he happened to have an understanding of what rugby was and the understanding that it is value. There's value in marketability in it internationally.
Right.
We've got to figure out how to create that value. And he keeps telling me, hey, you have to show value.
Right. You got to be able to figure out how to use pipeline. Right. No, that makes all the sense. Makes all the sense in the world. And that's the things, you know, a lot of this issue is how do we not just create the pipeline for students, but, you know, creating the pipeline as a full administration to be able to support those athletes being able to come in and understand how to be properly effective for both the team and the university alike.
Yeah. There's definitely a process, and you know, I'm taking what they give me, but I'm also asking big. You know, like I had like I told you, I think before I even messaged, like, because they gave me a template, memorandum of understanding for the program, and I let it sit for over a month because I was like, I don't know what to ask for. And you remember me telling you about that? Like, I was like, you know, man, like, what do I ask? You know, this is basically saying, this is what whatever we put in writing here is what it's going to be.
Right.
And so I was like, well, shoot, let me ask for everything I want.
Right. Take it all.
And
let me get it all.
Yeah. Hey, we see no issue with it. They signed off on it. I was like, cool. I'm not going to go in depth of what all I asked for. And, you know, I'm going to save that for later. Another podcast once things start coming in line. But it was a lot. It's a lot that most rugby programs don't have. I'll just say that.
I mean, that's, again, it's whenever you're trying to break the mold, you have to go beyond what the normal scopes have been.
And that's what it is. And, you know, Coach Eddie Jones, he even said, you know, you don't want to start following a trend, which a lot of teams and programs do. You want to start the trend. And that's what I'm doing. I'm starting the trend right here at Southern.
No, I love that. I love that. You know, for you, now that it's working your way with Southern and everything like that, what is it that you are envisioning and intending for this Southern team in terms of what you want to bring for the students? Obviously, you want to bring the game, but like, what is it that you are looking to be able to make out of this this program?
I think just inspire others, right? The biggest thing is when these young men and eventually women, they look at a lot of doors that are being closed on their preferred sport, right? You know, and some of them feel like they probably are going to feel like they probably could have competed at the highest level in whatever sport that is. Well, I want to open up another door. I want to be able to say that you're still a great athlete. There's no reason for you to shut that down. Or just, you know, hey, you can do more than intramurals. You know, you can be a part of something. And, you know, there's the problem with rugby in America is just not marketable right now. Like, there's just not, they're struggling to win from a 15 standpoint. And just the opportunities to go far aren't really promoted, right? Or they're not promoted well, or they're not in a means to where people are like, oh yeah, let me do that. Like they're not like something that you can easily gravitate to the opportunity. So you look at a lot of people don't know, like even in Louisiana, a lot of people don't know LSU has a rugby team.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And
I mean, I remember whenever I first found out.
And you know, they have the brand. Like I talked to the coach, you know, I mean, he's a brand new. He's kind of placed in that role because the coach at LSU has visa issue, so he had to go back to his other country. And so, you know, I'm talking to him about just basic stuff that I would do to improve what my program could be. If I had the brand LSU, and he's like, wow, you know, hurry up and help me, you know, get this.
Help me help you.
But right, and so, but you know, I look at. I want to have Southern University be something that gives people a reason to care about rugby. Like, you know, with less than 5% African Americans playing in this country, you know, we look at basketball was adopted from rugby. Football was adapted from rugby.
Right.
You know, American football. And you take just all the skills that these athletes are, these great athletes, you know, like, I mean, guys that have the prototype size, prototype speed, they just need to learn the game. And I just want to be able to show them that they can be dominant, you know, and look at, have them be aware that Rock Nation has 8 international athletes, you know, I think one is Polynesian, Artie Severe, and everybody else is of African descent. And so, be able to say, hey, be that one kid that gets Jay-Z's attention.
I love it. Do you feel? And I'm gonna hit it a little deep, but do you feel like you're trying to make a program that you wanted to be a part of whenever you were younger?
I definitely think that if you look at the culture that I intend to create, it'll be something that will be, I would have run to be a part of that. You know, like if I would have known, and especially like I haven't really dove into like my ambitions for their development and the coaches that I'm bringing in and the way that I intend on growing rugby. But just knowing the impact and the importance of culture, knowing how if you have the culture already better than the culture in your opposing team, the score is going to take care of itself. And that's my focus is yes, like to answer your question, yes. Like I know that I'm going to create a culture that a lot of kids are going to want to be a part of, and we're going to we're going to be deliberate in how we approach. Because a lot of these kids, they're coming from that. A lot of these athletes that I'm going to be recruiting, they're coming from that structured football, basketball, track program, where it was nothing for them to get up in the morning and work out if the coach told them to come in on Sunday or Saturday to do extra whatever, you know. Especially you're looking at athletes out of New Orleans and the competitive nature of the top tier programs. And so I feel like that's something that they would want outside of like some financial aid support and scholarships. You know, they want a structure that helps them maximize who they are. And so that's kind of what my hope is to create that so that it's an easy transition, even if they don't know the sport. You know, it's an easy transition because, you know, I'm focusing on a values-based, purpose-driven approach to their development. And, you know, we've talked about those values often, you know, accountability, character, discipline, hard work, respect, and trust. And trust is going to be huge because if they don't know the game, you know how it is that first 6 months to a year, it takes about that 6 month to 1 year window to where you really understand the sport. And so to keep that trust to where they don't get discouraged, where it's like, hey man, hey, it's okay to take a little time to learn this.
Time off and
what but yeah, and so basically trying to encourage them to trust me and trust my coaching staff and trust the delivery in which I want to bring their success rate.
Nice. I think kind of tailing this off, where can people find you?
So right now I'm on Instagram. There's Southern University.
Congrats for that. Finally.
Yeah,
after finally.
Right? Let me see if I can get the exact Instagram
the
name.
Actual name,
Hey, so it's Southern UNIV_rugby. You can also find me, find the GoFundMe, where we're trying to get as many resources and just to kind of dive in. The goal is to make this more than just about rugby,
Right.
Like I studied every school. I studied about 10 HBCU strategic plans, and each one came up with the same struggles: low male enrollment, low retention rates, and low graduation rates. And I'm using rugby to fix that. And I'm hoping my methodology is a template to improve others. And it's like, hey, allow them to be a focal point, allow rugby to take its place where it needs to be. Don't just kind of dismiss it, like it can add great value if you allow it. And that's kind of what I'm wanting to be able to say after, in the next few years, after I've been able to show sustained success, where I'm able to show that the things that I've implemented, the retention rates have increased, and everyone on my team is still on pace to graduate. And so it's hey, they owe me, if they get any type of financial aid from me, they owe me 20 hours a week. 5 of which is Hey, 5 of which is study hall. So they walk in automatically
Get to them books.
5 hours.
Get to them books.
Get to the books. And 1 hour a week is community service. And more times than not, we're going to get that in a 4-week or 4-hour block on weekends, either giving back to the community. We're partnering with Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation of Louisiana. So we're going to have a lot of opportunities to volunteer and give back. And we just want to be a focal point in the community, whether it be Baton Rouge or New Orleans, to say, hey, we give back. This rugby team gives back. And we're here for Louisiana. We're here to give so many opportunities for the youth and just an opportunity to entertain. I'm in talks right now to try to really impact just see what the possibilities are. But again, we're very much in developmental process. I'm in the recruiting process right now. Got recently connected with Hall of Famer Aeneas Williams. Nice. Hoping to be able to connect with him to be able to really see what we can do, what kind of support that doesn't cost money that we can get from the school, like, getting that preferred schedule so that they can reasonably get up in the morning and work out and have their schedules locked off to where they're not missing class or late for class, being able to go shower and then go to class and eat and all that. Because morning workouts are going to be a big part. That's going to be a big part of it. Yeah, absolutely. I've got the strength and conditioning coach of the professional team in New Zealand, Crusaders, developing my strength and conditioning plan. And so it's exciting right now. And I feel very confident in what we can do. And so if you're the Wakanda of rugby, what does that look like? That's having the best players, having the best resources, best coaching. We're really going to be in position to really impact the game and development. I'm in talks right now to partner with the Chiefs, New Zealand. Do that, but the New Zealand professional team. Already partnered with Nola Gold, who is also partnered with the top 14 team Claremont, which we're going to be partnered with as well. So there's a lot of big things on the way. And then basically just boils down to development, internships that will allow these kids to grow, not on the field, but in that profession outside of sports that they're going to be moving on to. So just really want to just create something that creates an all-encompassing athlete, player, student. I've got a mental skills coach out of New Orleans that is going to be on my staff. And I'm just trying to connect the dots everywhere I can to really bring this thing home. And part of why, I've tried to really make this so massive is, and for the longest time I was planning this while I was going to be in Tennessee State. Well, who's in that region? Life,
Tennessee,
Lindenwood, Davenport, Arkansas State, all perennial top 10 teams each year, with Life or Lindenwood, either one of those teams more likely are going to be playing to go to the national championship against somebody, whether it be Army, Navy, so, it was going to be a gauntlet. So I was like, hey, I got to have those guys. I got to have a system in place to be able to compete. Because like we said, we don't want to be a punching bag. We want to come in ready to compete.
And punch somebody in the face.
Well coached. And represent HBC, not just HBC rugby in a manner in which it should be played. The only reason why there's not a lot of value is just because of just in America, it's just right now, it's just not where it needs to be. And I'm hoping that the gut check of not making the World Cup really has them take a step back on hey, how can we improve our development program? Well, how about you take a look at what we're doing at Southern University? And I can show you way better than I can tell you. Like I said, I'm looking forward to our conversation the next time I'm on a podcast in 6 months as we get ready to go in our camps for the summer.
I'm looking forward to it.
And when I have my first combine, after I have my first combine in the spring, and we're coming. We're definitely gonna cap off our season against LSU prior to whatever NCR tournament we're going in. That's yes, we're playing in the NCR South, but we want to play LSU, and we want to make a statement for Southern alumni to be able to take notice. Preferably, we play before they have a night game so that the announcer can announce the score. The LSU Southern game. I kind of want to be in attendance just to see what
the impact
is going to be.
Yo, I love it, Isaiah, man. Definitely appreciate this. Definitely love it, and I look forward to what the future has to hold, and we're gonna see where it is. So whenever you guys are ready to come compete at the HBCU Rugby Classic.
Yeah. No, man, it's gonna be a great time. Like the HBU, I can't wait. 2024, we coming. I can't wait. 2024
let's
HBCU Classic. We are coming.
Let's go, man. I appreciate it, man. Thank you, bro.
Hey, thank you, brother. Hey, it's been great. Enjoy your holidays, and I can't wait till the next time to be on with you.
Yo, Isaiah, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. Definitely appreciate it. And thank you, everybody who took the time to listen and be able to get a little bit more knowledge about what's going on within the HBCUs and just rugby here in the U.S. Guys, we have so many stories on this catalog to talk about. And, of course, we are always trying to add new things so that we can continue to develop more opportunities and present more ideas and be able to offer more chances to be able to be a part of this rugby growth. So we want to fully thank you. Please, of course, like I said, share this with your friends and family if you feel that there's a value that they have for it. And please absolutely like and subscribe. If this is the first time you're getting a chance to listen to it, you can check out some of our other episodes. We've had great ones with Theo Bennett. We talked with Cassette Shiranganji, who is a rugby promoter from Zimbabwe and here in DC in the US. We have Tozan Tuchitanwe. We have Naya Tapper, Cheta Emba. We have Adam Hayward, who is actor for the movie Play On. We have so many great people who have had a chance to talk with us. Of course, our HBCU Classics, Phaedra Knights. We had Catherine Aversanu, Takundo Rusiki, Daniel Devalier, Saifuddin Safir, and just so many people to be able to talk to. But what I want you to know most of all, that I hope that you know that you are happy. I hope that you know that you are healthy. And I hope you have a great holiday. It is Christmas. I hope you have a great, amazing holiday going into this, because you are highly favored. Y'all have a great one. Until next time, cheers.